Wow, there are huge pieces of news coming out about Bitcoin buying in Q4 right now. Some really breaking news on banks as well getting into Bitcoin. We're talking about trillions of dollars getting access to Bitcoin now. And Bitcoin's price is moving up. We're closing in on 99,000. We were just at 96 just a few minutes ago, and now we're bumping up. A lot of altcoins moving on this news as well. Let's talk about this. If you don't mind, hit subscribe so you can see future videos like this one. If you've watched some of these videos before and you like them, hit subscribe. If you want to get them as soon as they come out, hit the bell notification. There are links to the Patreon underneath the video. They're getting they got an exclusive video yesterday, the Patreon members did, and early access to a video that's going to be posted later tonight. So check that out. Also, there's a link underneath the video to BTCC. In case you want to trade crypto, they have a really nice bonus going on right now. You can deposit $50 to get 50 USDT futures bonus. And the more you deposit, the more you get. Also, some trading rewards too. The more you trade, the more you get in free bonuses. Also a link to WEEX, to BTCC, to Blofin and CoinW. They all have different rewards for using my link. Like they're some of the best sign-up bonuses I've seen. WEEX right now has 0% maker fees, has a very similar bonus structure to this as well on trading and deposit. So check these out underneath the video. Let's get into it. So as you can see, Bitcoin moving up to 98,600. It's moving up fairly quickly too. You can see we're just at 96,500 and had a $1,000 candle and then came down a little bit and then continued to move up. Pretty aggressive moves here. And we have altcoins moving up too. Like all of a sudden, official Trump's up 47%. I was just filming 10 minutes ago and it was up 20%. Now it's up 47. Dog with Hat up 28. Jupiter up 20. XRP looking really bullish, up even more than that now. It's up. It was at 276, up 13%. Like things are moving all of a sudden. What is happening? Look at this map. Look how orange it is. These are all the states that are trying to pass Bitcoin bills to protect custody rights, to help with mining, to allow different state funds to be able to buy Bitcoin. So like things are changing very quickly. Soon, all this black will be orange as well. Some of the breaking news, a couple purchases recently, and then the big banking news. I think the banking news is really what's moving the market, but the state of Wisconsin investment board disclosed $321 million in Bitcoin ETF holdings. We're getting more reports because it's like the middle of the second month of the quarter. So we're seeing a lot of reports coming out about what different institutions were buying last quarter. So state of Wisconsin, at the end of Q4, held $321 million in Bitcoin ETF holdings. Abu Dhabi's Sovereign Wealth Fund disclosed $436 million in Bitcoin ETF. So we have a sovereign wealth fund at SWF buying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin ETFs. In the US, we're talking about sovereign wealth fund as well. I'd say that if we get one passed, we're going to see hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars flowing into Bitcoin ETFs or Bitcoin, just buying spot Bitcoin relatively soon. Now, maybe not like the first day, but the fact is this takes time for the US to approve these things, but other nations are already buying. Other nations are already feeling a little bit of FOMO, a little bit like they need to allocate, $500 million to Bitcoin. So they're going out and doing it. So, certain countries are going to feel that FOMO, especially if the price starts moving up. This is the big breaking news. State Street and Citibank are going to launch Bitcoin and crypto custody, according to the information. State Street, massive in custodying assets. Citibank, obviously one of the largest banks in the world. This is big news. I don't know when this is going to launch, but it's spreading like wildfire on Twitter right now. This is big news. As soon as banks can start custodying, this means a lot of treasuries, a lot of corporate treasuries can start buying Bitcoin. Right now, there's too much risk for a lot of companies to want to go out and buy an asset that they, like one missed button press, and they just lose their money, right? So there's too much risk. They want to put that risk on someone else. They've worked with some of these companies for 100, 200 years. They want to work with banks to custody their Bitcoin. Up until this point, they haven't been able to because the banks basically had to treat it as a liability on their own balance sheet. So they couldn't offer it to clients. Now, that's changing. There obviously there's a lot more pro crypto legislation being passed right now. There's a lot going on. These banks don't want to be last to the party. They want to offer this to their clients. They want to make transaction fee revenue. They want custody revenue. And it's relatively easy, right? If you're custodying Bitcoin for some big company, even if you charge a very low percent fee, like all you have to do is go buy the Bitcoin, set up a relationship with Coinbase or something, then take a cut, and then just let it sit. Like think about how many millions of dollars, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars they're going to get just from being like, okay, transfer to this wallet. Okay, Coinbase, transfer this wallet. Transfer to this wallet. Here's your wire. Like it's just super simple. And this is what banks are good at, right? They custody assets. That's what they do. Now they can finally do this for all the companies that want access that can't buy Bitcoin ETFs or can't buy straight Bitcoin. There's going to be more and more of this in the future as well. So this just unlocks trillions and trillions of dollars to get into crypto. Maybe tens of trillions, honestly. I think this is going to happen more and more, and eventually it will trickle down to retail. Like you'll be able to go to your bank and be like, hey, I want to move $200 from savings into Bitcoin. And I think that's down the line, to be honest. I think you'll be able to do that. And there are going to be more and more financial advisors as well that are turning pro crypto. And this makes it a little bit easier, right? If you're a financial advisor at one of these different banks, you're more incentivized to sell Bitcoin, in my opinion, than like selling an ETF now. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video, but I think this is really big news. It would be nice to have more details on it, and I'm sure those will be coming out, and maybe I'm just missing them now. We do have the Robinhood CEO as well, Vlad, saying that the company uses stablecoins to facilitate transactions and settlements between cash and crypto 24/7, particularly on weekends when the banks are usually closed. Interesting. A lot of large companies starting to use stablecoins. China is also starting to print money. You can see just in the last couple of weeks, starting to print again. They've indicated that they're willing to give out large amounts of stimulus if need be. I mean, you can already see in the last few years, they've started printing more and more. Since 2023, right? They had 38 trillion in China, in the Chinese money supply. Now they're at 44 trillion. So if you just draw a line, a trend line, it's up and to the right. The US is going to start printing soon. Quantitative easing really hasn't started yet. They've kind of done stealth quantitative easing through a couple different programs, but it hasn't really started significantly yet, but that's coming. Believe me, Trump is going to want to stimulate the economy, which means stimulating the money supply. This is what's going to happen for other countries too. And what happens then? Well, Bitcoin prints. Let me know your thoughts on all this. Again, if you want to trade crypto, I think now is a great time to be trading. Like I've been saying this for a long time, but this is when you want to trade crypto. When there's an obvious trend line, when we've had a nice pullback, when we're bouncing off the trend line, and there's good news everywhere. Like even, call me crazy, but even if you don't get super aggressive, let's say you started right now, or let's say you open a position at 100,000, right? You wait until it breaks 100,000 and you go 5x Bitcoin. You open a trade for 5x Bitcoin. Okay, well, that means your liquidation point is around 80,000. That's not that bad. Okay, we haven't seen 80,000 in a long time. We weren't even close when we saw these big dips. We went down to 89. So you have a lot of wiggle room. You can always add extra margin, right? You can always add and lower your liquidation point. And like, there's nothing but good news, right? We're just ranging, just like we were last summer, ranging a little bit less than last summer, actually, as a percent. Eventually, all this good news will catch up to crypto and will pump. And you have a lot cushion right now, especially with this pullback. Like we're down 10% already from the pullback. And then you have another 20% if you're on 5X. So I don't know. You can always be liquidated. You can. If we go into a bear market, you're going to be screwed if you're in a lot of open positions, unless you close them, right? You can put stop losses on. But this is a bullish pattern. We're starting to move up. I don't know. I think now is a great time to be trading. There's not a ton of downside, honestly, with all this good news coming out and with the massive macro changes. Again, if you want to trade, there are links underneath the video. And I know some people say, leverage is just way too risky. And I get that. It's not right for everyone, but also you don't have to put in your entire portfolio, right? I don't put in 100% of my portfolio into leveraged positions. No, I use a small percentage of it for kind of the riskier part of my portfolio. So if you want to approach it the same way, right? If you lose 1 or 2% because all of a sudden Bitcoin wicks down $40,000, I think there are worse ways to lose 1 or 2% of your portfolio, and that's very unlikely. The likely scenario is we continue to move up after a range of sideways action, and you get 5x the returns, 10x the returns that you would otherwise. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Check out the links underneath the video. I'll see you all in the next